Content marketing is around telling a story about your brand. So what's happened is just putting advertisements and billboards and TVCs, television commercials up isn't really working. So what we're trying to do at the moment is craft a story, tell a story through marketing. And a lot of that kind of segues nicely into social media, because social media gives you the platforms to tell this brand, what we call a brand narrative. And most companies actually have really good brand narratives. There's always a nice story there. And so now we're starting to tell that because we now have communication mediums that allow us to tell a story. Native advertising is about trying to craft your advertising. So it's for content portals and platforms. And it's about trying to craft your advertising so it means more to the platform. So if you have a blog, and it's got a particular topic like tech, you'll try and bring in, within the body of the text and within the story, the advertising for a technology business, or at least something that relates to the story. So the branding and the ad is getting a lot closer to the content of the piece. And clearly that resonates a lot more. So native advertising has been tremendously successful. BuzzFeed is a great example of that, where they're essentially crafting advertising for the story. There's bigger yields for the platform on the advertising, so more money. And the advertisers obviously driving more sales or more brand awareness because it's affiliated to something, to a topic of interest. So the alternative to native is just dropping banner ads here and there and just trying to get mass appeal. It's like billboards everywhere, it's untargeted. Native is highly crafted, almost artisanal banner ads, if you like. Content marketing is very much leveraged and geared around social media platforms. The storytelling angle gives us a cheap way to effectively communicate on a constant basis. Now, of course, if you're just advertising and barraging people with television ads, that gets irritating. But if you can craft a story and it's interesting, people will hopefully enjoy it, in which case you have more points of contact. You're allowed to, the market will allow you to bother them more, essentially. The native advertising is very much the new business model for newspaper and editorial industry. Essentially, they were funded by classifieds, newspapers, and then obviously the big glossy mags were funded by big glossy advertisements. Those subscriptions has fallen off, as we know. It's migrated to digital, and of course those business models don't work online, or not very well. And so native advertising has become a very lucrative way of funding a publishing business, whether it's Elle magazine or The Citizen. There's a way in which you can drive native advertising that yields great advertising revenue. So it's a new ad model for online. It appears to be working really well. And again, I'll cite BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed is making a hell of a lot of money out of native advertising, and they very much were the pioneers of it. Programmatic essentially is trying to buy online ads at scale for the cheapest possible price. So programmatic allows you to buy inventory not at a rate card, but at a market real-time rate. So if that inventory is unsold, the publisher can then lower the price until there's a buyer. Okay, so programmatic is essentially like a stock market for digital ads. And therefore it's highly efficient. You can buy a lot more ads. It's usually a lot cheaper. And for the publishers, it's okay because that inventory would remain unsold. So it's a scale play. And then obviously native advertising, I used the term artisanal banner advertising. So it takes craft usually, and it takes thought, and there's usually an editorial play in native advertising when it's done well. So two opposite ends of the kind of advertising continuum, if you like. But we're starting to see the big programmatic agencies, so the big, what we call demand-side platforms, they're called DSPs, they're trying to get into this native space. So they're trying to do artisanal at scale. My bet is it's not going to work too well, and so the price will the yields will be a lot lower if programmatic tries to get into native. I suspect they'll do it. I suspect they won't get it right from a revenue point of view.